So I'll do an update here on the market. It's 5 after 11 o'clock, and here comes the robots. Here comes all that shit that runs on the fives, because the 5 minute breakout bots are going to take advantage of that, skim the market, And I mean, the ones that keep buying high and higher every 6 seconds, every uh, half second, or every tick, chases it literally. If the broker's got a good connection, you're making money on that move. Here's the what do you got? The Nasdaq. Wait, okay, S&P 500. Now, this is the what am I at here? I think weekly chart. So this is a very smooth, gorgeous view of price action, so to speak. The only thing with the price action is notice the big bars. So now you got to trade that like about 10 times smaller or 50 times smaller than you would trade all those other moves that you spent all that time building and custom curve fitting your moving averages just to fit the most glorious cherry picked entries here. But things to notice is this chatter box here. Once you get above this and you start to get this first dip into the insane, never before seen historical prices. And people exploit this by having the balls to step in front of the market and sell that literally every week above this box. And that, I would say that's the winning strategy, as you can see. Right? And here, you're going to get picked up on your limits. So there's the market order, there's the limit order, and the stop order. I would not put a buy stop on a weekly bar unless it was a baby candle. So a baby bar. So the babies are treated differently than the giant monster candles because, I mean, seriously, I'm not saying you couldn't put a sell stop here, but the rules of the road are if you put a sell stop at this and you're going to ride into the abyss, just whatever, one ticket, that one moment in time, and it will never happen like that ever again. I can almost guarantee that you're never going to get like 2 weeks straight a rocket down and actually open up under fair value on the Monday coming in. So people's minds are blown right there. I think that's when crude's hitting like zero and shit. Well, I mean, you can't build a fucking algorithm on this now. I mean, this is gone. I mean, what's to come could be the most boring market. It could be even more violent. There is no telling. At the point of time on this chart, when we were back here, what was people's view of reality back here? Like, what was considered to be a highly volatile move that you withstand and even buy into? So buying the deep discount supply zone of psycho lows that you haven't seen since 2018, I'm sure that people were shitting their pants here fractally just like they were shitting their pants on this one. It goes without saying, from just at a glance, guy on the street, 8-year-old kid, show me the, I guess explain what a candlestick is. Is this candle, or no, is this white area bigger, right? Just come up with really simple stuff. Of course, you want to complicate it because you know more stuff, but if you say, well, what's open to close, right? Forget about the wicks. What is the change? And this is the engulf. I mean, an amazing, and I'm sure people scalp to the here and they go, you know what? I'm selling on a limit to go down. It's going down further, right? There are people on the other side of that thing. But from the standpoint of just going into these new lows and stuff, my mouse is acting up already. That didn't take long. Yeah, I'm really struggling with this mouse. I had to duct tape it. It's just a train wreck. But let me try to clean up the chart here. But so I wanted to go through this stuff. People that don't trade or people that don't look at this supply and demand game in the context of anything can happen into the future, and a lot of things have happened. And fractally speaking, from the pattern analysis, Head and Shoulders, that's a 400 pip head and shoulders is different than a 40 pip head and shoulders, because if you're wrong about that trade, the kill zone or that, but the insurance policy is to hedge it. So yeah, you're not going to make as much money, but you're not going to lose as much. So if you're going to scale in and out of the markets like you would if you had a big truck, you're going to have like 20 gears, right? You don't want to blow up the engine. And that's the idea, that you're risking 2% and those kind of, don't overload it. Obviously, right? If you're going to take a demo account and see what you could do is if you didn't give a fuck, that is certainly that aspect. And you can do that right now. You could trade the FOMC that's coming out pretty soon here. The markets are getting all tense. It's funny, the way that we're at these all-time highs here on the precipice of somebody that just hit so many levers at once. And it's almost like they're their own little microcosm of fucknuttery, right? They're their own little clusterfuck of, echo chamber, right? So everybody believes so deeply in something. But what really changed here on this chart, and when crude went to zero or below zero on bid, supposedly, this thing gap opens on the weekly, you're just like, wow. And I got to just go back and look at the headlines from that day. And I bet it's stuff like the Dow's going to zero. This is going to that, and people are calling out wild numbers. And now we're sitting at that tippity top, inching our way into this. Is the air getting too thin up here? I mean, certainly from the Bears situation, they made so much money on this excitement about new highs and, oh, look, it's going to the moon, and they made money on that. So why wouldn't they think, keep doing that trade over and over again? Even this one, notice this high. This would be the lonely wick, or this is going to be your order block, or your whatever have you, previous head and shoulders. But really, a child could kind of figure out, what's the, is this, can you picture a mountaintop here? Or this is just climbing. And that's a Bill Williams analogy, is that you're in an airplane. Of course, the air's thin up here, and this is the trap. The breakout traders that trade the monthly breakouts, they got their trusty buy stops here because they're like, it's in an uptrend, can't you see? We're going to make money, look. And guess what? I mean, you were right. It went up, and I'll give you that. If you have a stop here and you put a buy stop here, yes, you are long. And if you didn't get stopped out here, you could do a cancel replace and do a trailing stop and call it a free trade. This one, it goes on and on. But how often do these trades come up? Now, this is a kind of 5-minute chart of like FOMC. This kind of reminds me of maybe a 1-minute chart FOMC, where the market is just, you're like, wait a minute, you're going to come down here, you just went up here, everything's just wonderful, and everything's getting this is really a glorious trend that's beginning to be idealistic and kind of fragile, I suppose. The other version of that was this one, come up, and then the bears just killed it, right? Because once it got above there, they're like, oh, dude, you gotta be kidding me, right? They cash that out, then they don't do that trade quite again. I suppose this is, if you assume that's a shoulder, you're gonna make money on at least that price, Pauls. Weekly chart, right? But all markets, so this could be the 5-minute chart on the guppy, or 15-minute chart on the guppy, easily, right? News comes out, and there's or Australian news comes out. You ever seen Australian dollar drop like this on a 15-minute chart, and you're like, wow, what the fuck's it? And then you look back and you notice that they're making 3-month lows and 8-month lows, and my God, it's just like anything could happen. So this is going to be interesting to see what happens here now. I suppose that everybody's set. We're in the third quarter. Everybody's kind of like where they're going to be. The by the 4th of July, you'll be able to put a hot dog on a stick. So this is like kind of like, oh, America's coming back, right? Or that's the narrative. And so you can make all these fundamental arguments of why it's kind of just we're stalled out. What are people going to do? What's the big money going to do now? Are banks going to come back in fashion? So things go in and out of fashion, right? And I was talking about the Bitcoin last night there. It is really perplexing, that something would be priced at that. I get that you could transfer, but how is it any different than MasterCard claiming that they're going to keep track of your shit, or Visa or Discover, and you can trust them, and their stock is bid up because intrinsically they're executing the trades. But it's kind of weird to have this. Well, we're just going to mine shit, and we're going to make come up with bitcoins, and I'm just waiting for that aha moment where people go, now explain this to me one more time, and then everybody goes, you know what? That sounds like total bullshit. I don't know. But I mean, it's a mind bender. If you're from the olden days, you can't imagine people just coming up with that. Well, we're just going to have a number. Yeah, and then you'd be able to trade it on the internet. Huh? Is that like voting on a USB drive? Oh, it's kind of like that, but not quite. You're in the ballpark. So I had to get a different color there, so I lose my mind. Anyways, look at all these. Once you see that first trap trade, now you see it everywhere, right? And you see it fractally. You see even, well, here you didn't quite get it right, but I guess these are the failures, failure pops, swings. And even the breakout traders. So if you're going to do, this is the smallest body. Just pick small bodies and put a hedge on. That's another strategy. And of course, you don't get a setup here. So the filter is that if you're trying to trade breakouts and like, let me get in before everybody realizes what's going on, that would be the doji, the indecision point. So we're stalled at the top here. We got a spinning top or a gravestone or a dragonfly. The idea is that you have a small body, big body, small body. Just think those two binaries, and then everything in between has, I guess it's kind of a sliding scale. If you watch the candle being built on the 4 hour, you'll see it change from start out as an abandoned baby. A lot of them do. Look at this where you gap open right out of the first opening price here, right? Now the pullback buyers that think this is a normal pullback, their thought is, okay, that gaps should fill. It's just kind of another place to get in, and it's just, I mean, I got my wife, my kids, we got a new car, I work on the pipeline, my life's great, I can't get any better. I can see tops become bottoms, dude. I mean, how can you fight this trend, right? Look at this glorious. I mean, up until that point, of course, everybody assumed that. Are we assuming that now? That's the critical. Why would you even give a fuck about that, right? Do you think that we're there now? I'd say yes. It's definitely not. I'm not a buyer here. I'm a seller here on some level, with sell limits above always, though. So if my trade plan is literally, I'm always selling high. It's how do I space them, and how many do I have, and how long do they last? Because how long they last is exposure. This is like an options trade. You're saying, well, my option expires in 1 day. If you can't hit that bid or that ask, then the deal's off. These are just clinical trades. These aren't like, I could do a Andrew's pitchfork, or I could do a trend line projection and give it and I guess a computer could do that. I could say, well, the current rate of change, we should be here by there. Yeah, it's a nice linear thing. We keep selling. We get filled. This is the weekly chart, by the way. So you got plenty of chances on the 4-hour chart just to play a sideways game. And you get that quite often. Most of the market is Well, this is like Forex stuff here, man. This SP 500, but this Chatterbox stuff, this one here, that's a different territory than. Oh, I think I'll just get on this nice gentle trend. And this is when your indicators do catch up. This is the argument for no nonsense: is that even after this brutalization auction sell-off, your moving averages eventually start to digest that, and you get a setup here. You get in here, and you made some money there. Of course, maybe even this was a Fibonacci pullback, for God's sakes. I mean, this could be a 618 of, this top of this. I mean, you can make up I'm sure you could get a Gartley going here. This is this of that, and that's of this. It should go to here. But in the end, is this wick going to blow up your trade plan? Is this gap open below the floor? And people scalp to this. Then we get this premium, the smallest body. And this would be a dream for any candlestick traders. Like, look at this fucking dragonfly, inside bar dragonfly. Now what that would mean is this bar is inside of this bar, and it's a flag, and everything's going on here. Not to mention, are people really going to sell here, and the world's going to come to an end, and Corona's going to take over, and zombies are going to come out of the ground, and wow, right? And I remember this is when Glenn Beck was selling. He told his wife, "We're going to the bank tomorrow. We're getting out." I'm like, "Thanks for the buy signal, buddy." So that is the ultimate goober, would be Glenn Beck calling for. I don't know if he was just saying that because he's an entertainer, but he's like, yeah, my wife and I decided that, based on what's going on here, we're just going to have to put a pause on things. But that's okay, We all freak out. By the time you get that trade on, so you're already getting, by the time you get filled on getting out of that trade, you're already getting crushed going back the other way, right? And that's the cruel hoax of it. I did that exact trade actually in soybean oil. So I had a telephone, and I had a quote monitor, and it came screaming down like this. So I sold soybean oil, and the guy filled me right at the bottom, bottom tick Tommy here, no top tick Tommy. So I wasn't a seller there. Maybe that's what kind of made it hard to sell after that. But I literally looked in the newspaper, and I thought it was going to say my name for the low, hey. And because I just freaked out, I've never seen a market move that hard, and it stared at it for hours, So that kind of move right there is enough to kind of burn you and make it hard to maybe trade, trust yourself. With a market order, of course, with the limit order, you're kind of planning your execution there. Literally, to die and to get the trade on, and you walk away, and it's a passive way of trading. I mean, you're not making a decision every hour, every day. You know that if the market ever dropped to X, if Apple stock went to, I don't know what it's at, 400 or something, maybe it went to 150 one day, would you buy it? Like, what happened there so bad that would make it? And if you have a buy limit sitting pending on a platform now, you could do it, right? But I don't think a broker would typically, if you called in, they'd say, "Why are you putting a buy limit down there? What are you wasting our time?" Like, what the fuck? But now on a digital platform, that order's sitting in there pending, and it gets tripped. There's an exit pre-planned. It's just a deal that happens or doesn't happen. The fact that it doesn't happen is the reduction of risk. So you can talk about predicting the market and all that stuff, but when you put actual money up on that trade, is it going to be okay? So you may wait for the news to come out and then put on your trade because you're like, oh yeah, that's what I thought was going to happen. Yeah, okay, I've seen this. Now it's quiet, let's get in. So yes, after the storm, after the smash down, and you go, well, let's wait for small bodies, let's wait for tight ranges, and let's get in the most obvious trade. But that presupposes you can afford to do that trade in that range on that instrument. Because if you get like one of these big bass violins, unless you can really have the muscle to, there's some instruments that are a little tough, right? Big tuba, you're blowing into, playing drums. It's not like playing electric synthesizers. I mean, you could pretty much just sit on the keyboard with a good patch and it would sound good. So the trading thing is the one thing that anybody could really just click a button, and yeah, you can make a lot of money, lose a lot of money. I spent a lot of time trying to decipher it, but I think once you if you know your time window, so maybe Sunday night, you look at the market and you say, all right, let's do this. We'll buy down here if it goes down there, and if it goes up there, we'll sell up there, and that's as simple as that, right? And you may have Gartleys and whatnot to get you into this window that you think is a sell window in the future. And that's how they futures, and they have different prices, and there's a spread between the futures, and some people just trade the spread. Like you can go long February gold and short July gold or something from 2 different years way out. I mean, people put these trades on, and if they understand the seasonal shifts and all that, yeah, they can pull out this glorious 5 to 10%. But if you're a retail trader and you've got X amount of dollars, and you could just take if you're under trading the account, then it's just a savings account, right? If you have orders that never fill because they're so fucking far out of the money, it's just like options. You're so far out of the money, so unfair value. It's like, you fucking nuts, dude. They ain't going that price. Then the guy that's standing so close to the market, he's about to get filled and about to get smashed out because it's about to explode because of it's been going sideways too long. I mean, there is this kind of creepy, this march up here, this is the other example, fractally speaking, of this kind of perfect trend, pull back, I'd buy on dips. Everything seems to be going right. Hey, how you feeling, honey? Oh, I feel great. Hey, that new car. Yeah, I know. Making new highs here, and then, woof. Oh, I'm a little nervous, honey. Should we go to the bank? Call Glenn Beck. Well, I don't know, but, oof, I don't know. This volatility is kind of getting on my nerves, And this is just what you typically get once you get into this vacuum. You have to, lack of a better, milk it. Like, you have to get this flag going, because this is the Wyckoff theory too, that it's marked up, first markdown, then a remarkdown, and then you're under the auction floor unfair value, back to the mean reversion, back to the bulge of the profile, right? And but it's changing constantly. And would I carry this into the future? Yeah, because, this vacuum carries to here. But this vacuum doesn't matter anymore. This is all null and void. That game's been played, because once they took out this low, I mean, this really isn't even, this shearing down effect is because you come to here and then you take that out, and people's minds are blown when you open up on Monday morning here. So that's a unique gap, and that gap's filled. This gap is not filled. You can't take that rule set over here and say, well, look at this. It opened down here. And it wicked up, but then it gapped down, and it opened on, man, what a brutal period. I mean, I'll tell you, that's epic. That will never, that's like the depegging of the Swiss franc, really. I mean, you think about this thing in the context of all the price you've ever seen. And will it have an effect in reality? I don't know, man. There's, with the Bitcoin being this overflow of psychosis for people looking for places to park their money, because it's scared money, I suppose. There's a million ways to look at what's going on and make these fundamental assessments. How could this thing be priced at that? Like, who's buying this shit at this price? Is it just that, that's just, money's got nowhere else to go? And this is an example of you know what I mean? These arguments. And of course, that's the philosophical or the analytical, what we were talking about last night. I'm sure the brochures could go into some, or team of, I love that shit. Well, our team of associates that are tweaked to look at all these things and analyze headlines with nomenclature that you wouldn't understand, and I don't want to bore you. But like the Dominion guys, you've seen those guys' sales ad. It's just creepy as fuck. Well, yeah, you hook it right to, you just get this shit hardware. All the stuff's available on as open source hardware. You can go get it. Yeah, whatever you want. It's Wild West. But sidetracking here again. But if you notice, the same thing happens here. You got the lonely wick, a little trappity-doo, a little doji, a little hanging man. Yeah, these candlestick patterns on the weekly are fucking gorgeous. Now, you gonna wait your whole lifetime for this? No, I'm gonna trade this. If this is the 1 hour chart and this is the high of the previous day, I'm gonna sell here, a scalp to here. We don't necessarily have to keep tanking either, and I'm sure people that sold there thought, dude, this is gonna go down here and fill this vacuum. I'm sure people thought that, but when it was exhausted, it was over. It was over. And I think really the key is that if you look for these little notches, right? You got this little, so this supply zone that, and I can't say this, how many bars you're going to count back, but this, I'm going to say this is my version of a fractal. It's a lower, swing low there. The Williams fractal is like this one here, right? It has to be a big, like that's a big one, but this is the cove that I want to buy in. This vacuum's been filled. All the market can see now as it goes up here is it sees the trailing stops of the money managers that are protecting their long position, and the people that actually want to do confirmation. Everybody's got a different reason for putting a sell stop here. Trailing sell stop to get picked up when the order flow, when the institutional order flow changes. This is just simple mechanical trading entries. You could have had a trailing sell stop here. The only problem here is you're getting trapped short, right? That does happen, but if you trailed it every 2 bars, you actually have this pending sell, and as soon as this market decides to reverse, you're going to get short. And hopefully you did cancel replaces and kept, well, actually this is what you'd have to do. Unfortunately, you got to cancel replace all these tickets. That's why you want them to decay after an hour or 4 hours or 15 minutes. So that you don't get picked up at this point on a sell stop here that you left behind. So to manage all of these styles of tickets, not hard to manage a market order because you're pulling the trigger. You're a sniper, you got your gun, and you're pulling the trigger. That is an obvious necessity. You need to be there. The stops, you need to be there if you're going to trail them and you're going to have them decay. So you can, there's a script, we just double click, and it just does a does a stop, and you could do that on a tablet. You could just sit there and just trail sell stops all day. And as soon as the market starts to come down, you're short. You're in. I'd say run 15 half-hour, 1 hour sell stops, and of course the 1 hour sell stop needs to have a 20 pip stop, and the 15-minute needs to have a 10 pip stop, roughly, because it only makes sense. You're not going to run a wide stop on a market you're trying to scalp. And if you're trying to get involved in a short position here, imagine you put a sell stop here, last all day, cancel replace. Now, the martingale this ticket up, right? Sell a 1K, pending, no fill. No fill, no fill, no fill. Now you're up to a like a 20K here. They fill you, they crush you. Now you're going to do 21K, 22K, 23K. They stop you. They trap you short. Now, I don't know where if this is your sell stop, where's your I'm wrong stop? Is it way up here? Because if it is, you're going to build a sell position into this. And if you go with the cancel replace and add a K every day, or a K a week here, self stop, now you got like a 30K pending. You still got your protection up here, and you're like, when this thing caves in, but notice you didn't get filled here. You got trapped here. That is true. But if you just backed it off and said, well, I'm going to do that SAR, right? Stop and reverse indicator. And I'll just let that thing pick me up. But I'll martingale in so that it'll be a fat ticket by the time it hits here, or even your Bollinger Band, right? And then I'm also presupposing you have targets that are like down here, and you're like, dude, when this thing cracks, and I mean, from the what I'm curious about is that once we took out this high and we start to go into this uncharted water, what was going on here in the world? And because up until that point, a lot of people would make the assumption that we're seeing this head, shoulders, and then we're just going to, like, this is it. I'm sure for a lot of people, this was it. And we're just going to, and we could have done that. We could have done that, but it became this kind of, they call it's climbing the wall of worry. This is a Wall Street kind of, this is a wall of worry here too. Because it's not screaming up and it's like, yeah, it's going up. And then, wow, this is brutal, huh? I mean, a lot of people probably were out and they're like, oh, we are so fucked. And a lot of people sold here. And they're like, yeah, we're just going to, it's the end of the world. I don't know what is the date on that. Okay, it's 2018. It was 2 years into the administration, I guess, for whatever reason. I don't know what's going on there. But probably just, too many people on the long train there. We always know that's typically the situation. Too many people on the train. Anyways, I just wanted to do this charting before the news comes out. FOMC's coming out. And I'm looking at this gold market, and I'm going to say a buy here. The guy last night wanted to do some trading, so let's try to make some market calls here at least. Quiet as hell. Market's dead as if it's closed right now. We're just dead in the water, waiting for FOMC, and I think it looks like a big rally's coming, a big sell-off's coming in the dollar, but not without a backlash wick or a fake out in one direction before ripping the other way. But look at this gold market. I think it's really setting up for this. Shit, I got the wrong here. It rips. It just rips. Looks like it could rip here up and smash into this floor. I got it on the daily. So this would be kind of gold coming back to life here for a smash into this support. And we had this big wick here. You can't see the candles here too well. I can zoom in. But if you're in the candles, that is maybe not. Let me turn on the candlesticks. There's your hammer. So the difference between the line chart and the candlestick chart is pretty dramatic, because we only have one data point here where you have the opening or closing here. I didn't put any directions on it because I just wanted to focus on the volatility. So just if you look at small body entries, this would be the delta, and we did break down and go down, but you had to take profits, right? Because there was a guy sitting beneath that, just ready to gobble up this price, daily gold. So yeah, the daily gold market, wow, this will be a big deal here. Also coming into tax season, we're going to see just how much money's in circulation. Money supply, I guess, digitally speaking. So as the tax returns come in, I don't know if this is true, but my view of gold is that the gold traders are looking at that, or the people that are trying to estimate, because gold's sitting back in fair value now. It's not at 2,000. It's not at 1,000. Gold could live inside of this window for quite some time now. But I'm looking at a scalp here. Pops up into this line, trades over. Yeah, next thing. And of course, then after that, it's always going to be about trailing the buy limits and trying to capture. I guess here's the end of the trend, so to speak, for people that are going to have a rule that says, well, I only get in during dojis because I'm a trend trader. Well, what's the trend trade, right? Here's a trend trade. Here's a doji. We're about to fall into the abyss. Let's put a trade on here. Don't trade this bar. Don't trade that. Yeah, I guess start putting, you could trail your sell stops, or you could make the claim that here's the order block, supply window. You got sell limits there, but just the same, you're going to sell as it drifts up and it's coming back to, you know what, this is kind of overbought. It's getting quiet. Looks like, oof, can we really push up here? And of course, here's another trend. Comes down, 4-hour trend traders, they see a flag, pennant, ascending triangle, whatever. The scalpers have had their fun. They gobble that just for that one wick. That's, you could just do those trades too. Here's another great supply zone gobble up on the you got buy limits here. You get your scalp off. You're at the floor and you actually start to engulf. You never make it to here, but that's still not a bad trade. It does make it to this floor, And now it looks like we're poised for a pop here. It's just simple trades. The other thing is, if you're not in this trade right now, sitting waiting for FOMC nonsense, and you're like, yeah, because we could get a kickback. So we could get this kind of situation here where you get a wick, and the guy that put the buy limits here, he's out of that trade. Let's hope. I mean, for that strategy, of course, that is you be the hammer. Just be that one candle. If you're going to be a candle, like here's a shaved candle. This is the most dramatic shift, is small body, very small body, and then just kaboom. And we haven't even got into the buyer's window yet. If you held for one more day, now you get below here in the buyer's window and they scalp it to here, right? See, that's a winning trade, right? Because if you bought this wick, we did visit this price the next day. So you don't need to go to the 4-hour, the 5-minute, the 15 order block. It's right there. Now, very quiet. And I think this is kind of like, this is the absorption of all the fucknuttery. And this is really pretty dramatic, actually, if you look on gold. It's the first time gold's kind of like, I think people are a little perplexed by gold. It's, below 1700, saying, that might be just a little too oversold for most people's taste, at least for the moment. But that's just scalp of the day. What are you going to do the rest of the week? The people that are looking at these markets, which one are you going to trade? This guy was telling me about the, tight spreads and stuff. All that's wonderful, but do you care? Are you trading for the fun of it? You need money on the side. It's your only source of income. It's if that's the case, then hopefully you're not trading all the money you own, right? You should be able to make money with money. I mean, the idea of trading with leverage is that you're a talented person. You can build an account. If you go and get funded for a $50,000 account, and you risk 2%, and you're paying desk fees to, sure, I guess you're kind of like a person that's participating in a. You're a trader. That's true. I mean, you're filling all the slots, right? But you're not a soloist. You're in the band, and you're, and of course, if you're a trend trader, you built some ridiculous smoothing apparatus to try to filter out what you perceive to be noise, which for market makers is a living. All this up and down shit is just trades, And of course, you cherry picked a point on this chart. I'm not saying you can't trade like that or live like that. I'm just saying I wouldn't do it, just because if I can see the trade that's about to happen or has a high potential, then I can let go and trade naked, so to speak. Let go of some of the confirmation and assuredness, right? So they have this thing in the car where you can see your air pressure, on your dashboard. Well, they want like $100 for one of these sensors and per tire, and I'm like, I think I'm just going to go with the fact that I'm still fucking rolling down the road. So there's you kind of have to trust stuff at some point. I mean, it's a very safety nanny state. Like, there's probably going to be one of these Corona sensors, where there's like a Corona alarm, in some store. It's going to be like a sci-fi, nightmare. Passenger 58.9. Time to be careful what you say now. You don't want to trigger any kind of like sniffing bots. He's talking too technical now. I mean, he's joking around before, but now, well, fuck him. We're watching you. So we're coming up on, it's quarter to the bewitching hour of noon. Not real time. We adjust the clocks as we see fit. Time by Dominion. This is brought to you by Dominion. Welcome to Dominion Trading. The mentorship will begin in 40 milliseconds. Brace yourself. Yeah, the training. So, how about the Forex boot camp? I mean, that's a good idea, right? I think that guy from Georgia, I want to say. The Forex boot camp. I want hot girls being the sergeant, though. What's Puss in Boots, I think was the original version of that. But waiting for this market to explode. I think it's going to be something. I don't know, because last time Yellen opened her mouth, I mean, Jesus Christ. Isn't that who's going to speak? I don't know. Keep track. But it is. Everybody's sitting on kind of bracing themselves, I guess. Gold traders. I mean, would you, if you're long right now gold because you bought on dips, you're like, God, I hope that's the last sell-off I see in a while. It's 1681.95. I'm like, honey, you got any more money in our other account? I mean, I like this trade and everything, but I think we're underwater. Like, yeah, I mean, so how far are you stretched out, right? And there's got to be something between super nanny trading and I've got a cracked pipe and I'm trading at 3001 leverage, and I've got a hotkey keyboard, and I'm waiting for I got an atomic clock. I'm waiting for the news to come out, and sitting by the dock of the bay, waiting for the market to finally, like last night, watching the euro, painfully trying to struggle to even make it back to above Asia, But the game of the below Asia, above. This trap trading, it's very hard to buy into a market that's selling off. I think for most people, they're going, Jesus Christ, oh my God, behind this, he's plunging. Pretty tough to stick with that program unless you can come in a size that you wouldn't feel if you gradually buy something, you accumulate, right? So if you're a gold trader, it would make sense that you're going to buy. You don't go out and buy 5 kilos of gold one day because you're like, yep, there you go, I'm a gold investor. You would kind of scale in, I would think. And maybe just be like, I'm going to take this gold bar and go buy fucking something I can use, like like an oven to cook food in. Because at what point, what is this threshold where people are saying stuff like, well, I just need a bunch of money. Right, but you only live for a certain amount of time. That's the money could be infinite, but you're going to die soon. And what are you trying to leave behind, or what is? I mean, that would be the hero ego's like, well, what am I going to leave behind? Am I going to donate a library of fuck nuttery to the next society, right? Well, that would be a very good endeavor. We'd really appreciate that donation. And let me shake your hands. I mean, there's the world of schmoozing, right? And then there's the dirty world of this Milken. Remember Milken, the junk bond dealer? And people were getting down on it. Dude, he was just taking advantage of or even the arbitrage people. Or some people I know would even say, well, even the fraud is creating jobs, right? Because all the fraud control shit and, you got to double sign in. Is it really you? Are you a robot? Fuck yeah, I'm a robot. I want to answer that question, honestly, one day. But, that is what's the anxiety, I think. I've endured that for a while. Sorry, your passwords. No, sorry. Too easy. 1, 2, 3. You can't have that password, sir. Why not? Like, really? No, you can't just have it like, it can't be that easy. I don't know. And then, I guess the Bitcoin is why that's worth money, is because supposedly that is like it is a unique number. Are we attaching this much value to a unique number? Couldn't I just do artwork? If you did non-lithograph, say you just did oil paintings one at a time, I guess that could be worth a Bitcoin. There are pieces of art like that. It's a one of a kind. That's all you're looking at is a digital one of a kind, I suppose. I'm still trying to figure it out. Um, that's got to be the reason why people have bid it to the sky. And of course, this other kind of scary part of it is that they bid it to the sky, and too big to fail. If the big boys are along Bitcoin and it backs up on them, I don't know. It's just bizarre. And what's going to go on here with the FOMC today? That's the other kind of curiosity of life here. So we've got this set up here. It looks like we're going to snap up. We could snap down before we snap up. That looks like the final conclusion there. And the oil market's topping out. Everything's topped out. Everything's right there. And it is that time of year. And spring's coming. And you're going to have 3.5 Dominion burgers at your barbecue. I know you are. And we have a drone flying over just to make sure that your Dominion credit scores are just where we want it to be. Amazing. How dare you? How dare you? Don't you know who we are? Yeah, we're from the government. We're here to help you. It's working so far. So this is the void to fill. There'll be sellers here. That's a nice scalp. I'd say put a sell there, and you're going to cash out into here. So the exit's obvious because it's the last known support. Support and resistance it's constantly changing. But yeah, this would be support. You're trailing here, and then you start to fill this void. And once that void's filled, I think it's game over. But at the same time that's happening, we have a void up here. This is the idea of the Bollinger Band. But I like just the, run a moving average of highs, a moving average of lows, and you'll see that the ultimate Bollinger Band is going to just be this vacuum, right? Fuck that 20 EMA shit. Bollinger Band. It's this, right? This is the, and there's the, so there's the freak out. That's the hammer. Now, 3 dojis coming in FOMC. Yikes. Look out. It's either this or this. I mean, it doesn't have to be that dramatic, right? It doesn't have to be Hannah Forex style, but you get my drift, see? Here at Weekly Forex Analysis, we take into consideration every market we can find. For instance, this oil market. Now, this guy was talking about the, don't you understand oil shocks? I think this is due for a tumble, honestly. We're in the sell window. Trees don't grow to the sky. There will become a point in time where we're going to break this trend line, I'm sure. And what's going to happen is, fundamentally, what I see is they take Biden to court. He loses. We take out this support. Biden loses again. And somebody comes in from another country. Don't forget, Trump left this kind of infection with people. And they're probably going to come in and go, you know what? Somebody from another country is going to say, we'll do that then. Fuck America. You come over here, we'll frack over here. And this bitch could just, this thing could just tumble. And people go, that makes sense, because now it's all fucked. You can't stop what's going to happen. You just can't. Like, look what led up to this. Man, look at this thing just come unwrapped. Wow. Oh, that's just incredible. The January right there, and we filled this vacuum on crude. It's over, man, for the moment. To get this crude to come here to keep going up, I don't know. As fucked up as America is, we're still cruising. That's the funny thing about it. So that's what people see. It's 5 minutes to the noon hour now. That's what I think people look at. And of course, all the money flows. Nobody's going to let go of a gold. In other words, all the big money isn't going to be flipping, switching around like like somebody that's freaking out about a trade and they're on the wrong side of the trade and they pull a lever this way and they go long, they go short, and it gets all volatile right up and down. I mean, the low frequency money is just sitting there in a fucking pile, you know. I mean, if you go try to buy a microphone right now, that you would see people sing, $1 million rock stars sing with microphones that cost $100. That microphone has cost $100 for the last 50 years. You buy a Shure microphone, a dynamic microphone, it's about $97, and it has not changed. That's a stable. It's like the American dollar. Yeah, it's up. It's not. Oh, American dollar's going. No, it's just too fucking stable. It's too. It's too legacy. You can't. You don't want to take the presidents off the bills and stuff. You can't. It's over. You know, our money looks European now because it's got all these colors and shit. I remember the European money was like. I saw that when I was a kid. I go, well, these are like stamps. These are like really colorful. American money is just like, it's just green. It's green. Deal with it. Okay, it's just shades of green, dude. Just step away from it. It's gonna be okay. It's got that lint look in it, and it's got like, but now it's like, oh, it's got fucking chipsets in there, and it's even when you touch the bills, it's got a little vaccine in it now. It's you try to do cocaine with it, and no, you got the fucking vaccine up your nose now. But that's just lifestyle hazards there, And what's your lifestyle, right? You waiting for this FOMC? You got like a lot of money riding on this. I'm gonna do some of those binary options when they come out with the news here. We're just dead in the water, man. It's kind of creepy. The market looks like the market's honestly. Have you ever seen the market any deader in your life? It's very spooky. I talk like I'm live streaming, but I'm gonna publish this pretty quick. But anyways, I just wanted to talk about the insanity, and the Bitcoin is the other thing. I think that we may be at a very tippity toppity top on Bitcoin. I know I'm going against the people calling for $200,000 worth of Bitcoin, but just look at a penny stock chart and you're going to see the same kind of behavior. I haven't looked at all the cryptos though, so I can't honestly. I do have a broker that does have a lot of cryptos here. I think Hugo Sway has a bunch of crypto. If you look at all their symbols, they got like some brokers have about 250 instruments you can trade. I mean, crazy shit. But I used to look at a lot of stuff. If you take the Danish kroner or the Swedish kroner against the euro, it's the complete inversion of dollar euro. It's a mirror image, almost a pure mirror image of dollar versus euro. And I thought, well, that's great. But the problem there is that the decimal's different, and you'd have to trade it differently, even if you were to try to use that as your hedge. You're kind of perfect. If you had a buy only system, and you're like, oh, it looks like a buy here, looks like a buy there. That way you run buy only scripts, right? You're a buyer. Your strategy is to buy low, sell high, not sell high, buy low. It's literally that, And you see the world that way, and you're able to trade it that way. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with that either. There's no. It's got to be like this. But it does have to fit your. If you can't wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, or if you can't, you want to scalp the news, but you're not there when the news happens. That's not going to work. But you could still get in Asia. I think that's still going to be the classic entry point for saying, and that's no nonsense, is getting in Asia. He's getting in the last hour of the U.S. market, saying, well, here we go. This is a pullback. My system, and this is what he's doing, is we're oversold, or what do you want to call it, on a dirty dozen scale, oversold even. And moving averages are relatively bullish, and let's get the fuck in the market here. Right? But you can see how it's disastrous to take that and try to live off that one strategy in that one pip range. For me, it'd be a pip range, because I'm not going to say risk a percentage of my account on this harebrained setup, because that may be the most costly fuck up. Whereas if I'm risking pure pip risk, right? That is my percent risk, so I don't have to worry about the other math, right? I'm coming in the side door. Why would I come in? Everybody's coming in the front door of this game of trading. Like, well, what's your strategy? I'm like, well, how about making money? I don't know. Or how about let's get on the right side of the market? That would mean that if the market's dropping, hopefully you're in the. So if you sell and it takes an hour for that thing to start to turn profitable, or does it take 5 minutes? Does that matter? If you sell and you're not immediately profitable, are you okay with that? What did you do wrong? Well, maybe nothing, because your system said to sell, or you had a price that you thought was too high, and if it ever got there, you would sell, so you just put a sell limit up there, and they failed you. Now you're staring at this trade going, huh, well, now what? Like, should I sell again? I think that if you have the flexibility to not use, don't shoot an ant with an elephant gun. You really wanted to try to get used to the idea of even having this small risk that you have no control over, and then say, well, do I have enough left over? If I'm just trading 0.5 risk per trade, I can do 4 trades instead of 1 trade now. I can take one on off and put it on and off, and I can play mind games about, okay, I'm long, I'm short. Hey, I just made money. You know, whether it's 50 cents or $50, I just made money. Okay, now take that in and realize that you got to keep doing that. So that means, I mean, this is presupposing you want to make money every day that's actually cashed out, because it's unrealized profit. If you're looking at some trade, you hold over the weekend, you come into Monday, the market is completely, something happened on the weekend. This is the problem with Forex. Something happened on the weekend. Biden coughed up a hairball. Turns out he ate his dogs. The dogs were not taken away. He ate his dogs. He sacrificed them. Well, how would the euro react? I don't know. Was it a European dog? Okay, first question fundamentally. But we never know. Whereas Bitcoin is in constant rapport with anything like that, isn't it? I mean, if the wheels come off in some regard, isn't Bitcoin there to fill the gap? So, and respond, whether it's up or down, it's going to be the relief valve, because where can you float such a chunk of money? I guess the thing is that there's so much money in the float. And the Forex is floating currencies too. There is no, it's over the counter. There is no, I guess Bitcoin is digital counter, digital over the counter, or node based, you know, decentralized, but so is Forex in that sense. And it's funny to watch the Bitcoin on Sundays and stuff, because you can see these patterns. So psychologically, all of those things still exist on the 1-minute Bitcoin chart, in a sense. I mean, certainly when it's dead, and some brokers don't even trade it. So you'll notice some brokers don't let you trade Bitcoin unless all markets are open. And of course, the crypto brokers are saying, come in and trade with real money. Don't even trade on leverage. Just come here and trade shit, right? And if you got 10 grand, you could probably make 20 grand if you knew what you were doing, and you didn't mind the fact that the markets, if they're dead, then maybe you're forcing a trade because you're thinking, yeah, this thing's going to move. So you build some position that never happens. What's the balance between letting the market come to you because you place the limit really deep, kind of an almost an unreachable target, but if they ever hit that, it makes the probability of that trade even higher, because it's such a rare price. You know, it's like the horse racing. You're betting on the long shot, but you're really not betting unless they fill you. It's even better than that, because if you had a cluster of tickets down there, And some of them were scalp orientated, so they could pay for the possibility that there's a dead cat bounce and then they blow out the whole rack. That is truly spending your time doing useful things with tickets, because to just have this, well, it's U.S. market's closed. We're in an uptrend. I got a blue button, buy. Or my signal service says, start looking to even build a position. Like start. How do you know that you're not involved in a sliding down market that, in the big picture, is going to start caving in on old prices and just keep tanking? You don't. Now, if you're just watching one instrument and it goes into this phase and you're like, yeah, but I built this fucking system, and maybe you're so the no nonsense people apparently, but I've seen people in the Discord say they're trading the 4-hour chart. Well, of course, because you have 6 times the resolution, you got 6 more bars there to deal with, and you're going to have better entries, because at the end of the day in U.S. markets is the end of, maybe you get a doji. And you can see the pip range has changed. The ATRs, and this clown is running ATRs of 14 on the daily. Why? It's Forex. You run a 4-hour ATR. If you're going to do that 14 dumb shit stuff, why even smoothing that out? I still don't get that. The smoothing just blows my mind. It's like, dude, I don't care how much lipstick you put on this pig. It's just a pig. It's just a market. It's a train wreck. But that's where the money's at. That's where the fun is. That's what Blue Oyster Cult said. Because that's where the fun is. But yeah, I feel like the market's closed. Like everybody went home. It's just really sad what's going on. I'm always waiting for Janet Yellen. The market's closed. Oh wait, just pulled back in the euro. There looks like they're getting ready for a run up in the dollar. I mean, looks like they're going to destroy the dollar here. So we'll take a peek at the yen. The yen tells all, and you got to use candlesticks on the yen, because otherwise you'll actually void the warranty on the MT4 platform. I don't know if anybody knows about this. It's kind of a insiders thing. Okay, ICT told me about it. Okay, this is kind of inside stuff. A lot of institutional guys know about this too. You know, you're the other guy talking about that, like the spam-free version of Windows. It's kind of like on that line. We don't like to talk about it much here, but it does exist. Gotta be careful, can't be too careful. You gotta get some BitTorrent in your coffee. Just saying. Who put the bit in BitTorrent? Was it the first Bitcoin? How about a BitTorrent coin? Oh, it's already been done. Let's peruse these markets one last time. Euro dead in the water. Chopville. Buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell. Not going anywhere. Got out there last night. Bought a little bit here on this pullback and dumped it, because I'm like, we are just trapped in we're trapped in nothing. So we're waiting for some resolution here. I'm on the bullish side because I'm looking at this as being the floor that we're going to overcome when gold pops up. This will pop up. You can't stop this train, I suppose, if you go to the 4 hours of... this is the pullback on the 4 hours, setting up for a rally, possibly. I'm making the bullish argument. Setting up for a rally here, double bottom on crude on the... that's daily chart. But the 4-hour chart, kind of pulled back to... this was the big... hurdle is getting above this. So you got to hold, crude has to hold above this, or otherwise we'll start caving in there. Here is the dollar ready to break out. I mean, the dollar yen looks like we're just about to just take off and go bonkers to the north, you know. That color just sucks. I can't see what's going on here. All right. It's hard to find. I know I can't have certain colors because of my eyes, but okay, here is the 4-hour. Here's the daily. So we're still like, man, they're still buying that dollar yen. Look at that. Can't stop that train, you know. Look at that puppy. Incredible, huh? And look how scary. I'd be scared selling that, right? But that's getting very long in the tooth, as they say. That's what they say. I wouldn't say that, but and the pound is kind of rearing up for a rally here too. We've stop hunted that 10 pip window there, so there's a 10 pip scalp. And time's ticking. We're sitting here in the here's another place to put buy limits if you trade the pound. But you see, you got to have a lot of money to trade the pound here, because if we smash down into that, it's going to be like one of these trades where this is a golden opportunity, like buying everything below this low of that day. What a fantastic trade. Wow. And here's probably the cheapest, the best ratio on this whole chart has got to be right here, this little 10 pip window that you dip into on the pound. So if you do decide to trade the pound, you're going to need more money than the euro. As you know, it makes more pip moves, but you can have bigger targets, right? It's a 10 pip window of entry, and you made about 40 pips, I suppose, to this floor. Another big, now here you have to be able to absorb buying this low, and then here's where your martingale in, right? So this notch is the deepest supply zone, right? And that's where you would also start buying at the market every hour it's below, and you build that and you dump back into this. And of course there's the obvious seller's window. That was an easy trade last night. Jesus. That's also the exact same trade I did on the euro, where you see this, you have this void, you have this box, you pop up in it, you rip back, and now it looks like we're going to rip down. So I put buy limits in here coming into the news. Now you may be frightened to do that, but no worries, as the kids say. Just buy a 1K, then buy a 2K, a 3K. By the time you get down, you'll be in a 30K, right? It's not the end of the world. And you're going to hopefully put individual tickets, so maybe you you can make this literally a 2K, 3K, 4K. It depends how much money you got. Below here, I would start getting in even fatter, and if it goes below here, well, then I'm just going to buy, I'll start buying 50K and 80Ks down here. So first we get involved in the 1, 2, 3, 4Ks, scalp to here, bounce out, comes deeper. You could play the long game just by getting in plunges, scalping and dumping. That's just it's a very easy trade. A very easy style of trading. In other words, same thing on the sell side. You put sell limits up here, you scalp, sell more as you scalp. And do you ride this thing all the way back? I don't know. It depends. If your final goal was to do a swing trade out of the whole thing, but you're scalping around your swing trade because you got to pay the rent while you're waiting to get paid on these 20-hour moves, you're going to have to wait. It's just not an overnight sensation. You want it to be. And when you see the setup coming, and you're like, I've seen this before, that's when I think you got to pay attention to, well, how many pips is this actually dropping? Like, is that a lot of money, or is that just a typical, you can get 40 pips out of this British pound real easy. Look at this. You're already up 40 pips here, 50 almost. So buy limit's sitting here, pending, waiting to get filled. The deeper it goes, the more you buy. Yes, you martingale in. Do you blow up your account? I don't know. How big is this account? That's the whole thing. How deep is the suspension on the car that you just took off road? Are you driving a Cadillac on a dirt road? Here's a nice, easy peasy. See, the same pattern here is here. This notch, that deep supply zone, is this guy's trade. Then there's this guy's trade. He's got buy limits in this pocket, this 10 pip pocket, right? That's if you are a trend trader, instead of putting buy stops here like a goober, why don't you just run trailing buy limits and just have a Turn on your robot that does a trailing half-hour buy limits. You just keep picked up on shit, and then, here comes Asia. Well, let's just go flat, right? This is when no nonsense is going to sell, you hope, right? But he doesn't trade reversals. No nonsense ain't selling here. I can guarantee you. He's a trend trader. He's going to buy this. He can buy this at the end of Asia. He'll buy this. It's up. He'll buy this at the end of Asia. He'll even buy this maybe. If he's adding, I don't know. Hopefully by then his exit indicator's saying, maybe I should take something off the table. Here's another classic Asian breakout, breakdown through the floor. Just step in with buy limits here. You don't need to get... If you can't get in Asia, you're making a real decision here in Asia to buy. As soon as they clip this supply zone, trap, But then, just unlike real life, you get a second chance to sell. You never get a second chance in real life. Never. The fear of missing out is more intense in the market because you can't believe that you're going to get another chance. But the market's more forgiving. You got 3 chances to sell here. And that's the old joke, right? I prayed to God. He goes, well, I sent you a chopper, a boat. What the fuck would you want, right? So all this stuff is coming your way. Everything's coming your way. Santana. But, are you on the sidelines waiting to get filled? Or are you a sniper? Or are you a confirmation stop entry? Let the order flow, change my direction. By default, I will go whichever way the wind blows. That's great until you get those, you're too tight, you're getting trapped too often. So having the big picture of the structure of the market, and then we have the order, just the typical, if you stare at the tick chart and you got your finger on the trigger, you can make plenty of money buying pullbacks on the tick chart if you're only trying to make 8 pips. You gotta keep doing that same trade though. The guy that sits back for a 300 pip win on a standard lot, and he only trades 3 times a week on a 4-hour chart. There's that guy. And there's everything in between, the whole spectrum. So, where do you see yourself on the continuum of trade frequency? Do you see yourself as a active, babysit the market, ready to pounce? Look at this thing, ready to break out. Look at it. Even the Dow says they're not going to touch interest rates here. It's business as usual, about to make another historical high here. So I'll sit back and watch the show. It should be quite entertaining here. Here's the dollar Swiss view. Is dollar Swiss is kind of bullish there. Let it pop up, but it could fall down. This is the weekly chart, by the way. So let's get realistic. Here's the daily. This looks like it could tank pretty hard, right? Everybody bails here. It's up. Here's the 4-hour dollar Swiss. Plenty of room to come pounding down here, right? Bitcoin goes to all-time highs again. Dow goes to all-time highs by the end of the week. Next week's another story. You also don't have to trade every week. And here's the thing. If you like trading, pulling the trigger, you think you're all that in a bag of chips. In fact, anybody on the stream that was saying, hey, let's see some trading. Hey, listen, man. Let me see you trade the demo. I don't care if it's a demo. Let me see you make money with a demo. I think it's harder work because you're trading fake money. Who spends that time fucking with fake money? But you should be able to prove to me. Post a demo, even if it's only got 5 trades, and go, see, look at this. Nailed it. I don't see a lot of people doing that even. So if you can't trade a demo, if you can't drive a rent-a-car properly, how are you going to drive your own car? Are you just such a shitty driver you can only drive rent-a-cars and you return them destroyed, blown up? You blew up another rent-a-car? Yeah, it's a demo, dude. This is not... They said, the dealership said I could test drive the car. So, it's a demo. Do I care about it? No, it's insured. Up the ass. And then, so this, the exercise of trading and getting used to pulling the trigger, I guess you should be well versed if you want to be a sniper, and you got your hotkeys assigned, and you got your people are posting those new keyboards that are all lit up. And you can get these easy execution keyboards that a child could just pull the trigger, you know. And you could trade like that, like this guy's building this simplicity system. I mean, really, you do need to have a filter that says you've got a window to put a trade on now, because the ATRs are so small on FOMC right now. And don't worry about the fact the news is coming out. You don't know what the news is, and you know how it's going to react, because your targets and your stops are predetermined. And even if there's slippage, just go ahead and do the trade. You know, it's going to be different every time the news comes out. Sometimes the news is going to come out, and the market's not going to do shit, and people will be like, "What the fuck?" And then somebody steps in and pulls the trigger on a trade, and the whole fucking thing comes unwrapped, right? Because when the market's moving hard in one direction, it's obvious what's going on. The scary thing was the market's going sideways too long. That's very disturbing, because something's got to give. And vacuums are filling up above and below. Like the wall of worry market move keeps notching up. I know it's a good trend trade, but this is going to come to an end. The trend is not your friend in the long run, because all trends come to an end. Otherwise, there wouldn't be big rallies and big sell-offs, right? Those are those trends. I suppose on the 5-minute chart, yes, it's probably a beautifully curve-fitted 21 EMA. On an 8.5-minute chart, I found to be the best time frame. Actually, it's a Dominion chart. It's 8.2 minutes per bar. It's fucking incredible. Plus, they have a little tick bar on top. And then just to round it off, I did put a little Hakanashis on there, with a touch of cloud. Oh, you know what? An Ikamushu appetizer. And can I get just a good old point and figure chart, and maybe, oh gosh, please, can I get a side of that amazing market depth? You know what I'm talking, level 3. Yeah, bring me the level 3 cake, layer cake. Yeah, the one with the big, you know, that it's got Bill Gates' order right just before the crumb layer, you know. I'm just kidding, you know. Bill Gates is not, I don't see his tickets anymore. He's long vaccine, I think. Good Lord, man. These people need a hobby. I'm worried about rich people that they got time on their hands. They're just fucking shit up all day long. Anyways, that's my 2 cents. So I'm going to go back to sleep. Up all night. Staring at the men hysteric goats, or sheep, is it? I don't know.